morning, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. It is time for another episode of the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Wednesday to talk all the news of the past 24 hours. It's our good friend, comedian Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Great to be here, Nick. Oh, my God. I watched a lot of wrestling this morning. We had a heck of a week in wrestling.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, and I'm glad because I got my day going watching NXT today. I know you had that at Raw. You watched the Cardona stuff this morning. You were really getting it all in.
Oh, yeah. It was, I've been doing a lot of live shows, so I haven't had the time to, watch wrestling live this week. So I just marathoned it this morning. I had my coffee and my wrestling. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
How about that Cardona match? That was violent. Zack Ryder, man. Matt Cardona, who knew he had it in him?
Yeah, man. I'm conflicted now about it. I thought it was awesome, right? It's great, all this heat. We'll talk about it in the mailbag at the end of the show. We're going to talk more Cardona stuff. But cheap plug, the Waltman podcast I do, Pro Wrestling for Life. We have Gregory Iron on this week, and I talked to Greg yesterday, and Greg was like part of the finish to what happened there, and obviously things went nutso at the end with everybody throwing things like that, and it looks really cool to hear from somebody inside of it. It's a very different story. So anyway, if you're interested, it'll be free for everybody tomorrow. Pro Wrestling for Life with Gregory Iron, but an interesting story. We'll talk more Cardona in the mailbag. Also here later on in the show, if you're listening to us in audio form, you're going to hear part one of my interview with veteran WWE Marty Elias. Marty came to us wanting to tell a story. The story of how Mark Carrano seemingly single-handedly tanked his WWE relationship, and not in a way that seems to be by the books. Let's put it that way. So Marty's got a story to tell. This is the first half of it today. There's a lot in it. I'm sure most of it will get picked up by everybody. We're going to have the second half of it, I think, airing sometime next week. But this first half is really, he gets right to it. And so if you are interested in how the toxic man that was Mark Carrano infected the pool that was WWE's locker room and corporate executive level, hey, strap in. You got Marty Elias here today. He wants to talk. He came to us. I never have that happen. Somebody's like, hey, I'd like to talk about bad behavior in the pro wrestling business. Okay, let's do it. And if you're watching us in video form, you could go over to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel here in 54 minutes, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll premiere it there. You can jump in the chats. You can react to the things that Marty says in this interview, just like you could do on this show, because the chat room is open. We have tons of great fans in here. Rob Humphrey here saying super professional graphic. Not sure I belong here anymore. Yeah. Thank you to Owen, our new graphics guy. That thumbnail, do you see the thumbnail for the show?
Yeah, it looks really great.
Yeah, we're floating in outer space,
Yeah.
Doing comedy in the stars. Anyway. I guess Daniel Price here saying, it looks like I'm saying, come on down to Hausman Autos, buy this car, or else I'm going to poke you in the face. Sure enough. So let's see here. You know what? You get a lot of comments going. You guys get it. Jump in the comment section wherever you're at. I'll bring up your comments here on the show. But right now it's time for News You Can News that'll leave a bruise. Thank you, Christian Arnold, for saying it with me here today. We're going to lead off, man, with some Karrion Kross news. This was by far the most trafficked item on the website yesterday. Fightful reporting that the original plan for this past Monday's Raw was for Jeff Hardy to defeat Karrion Kross for the second week in a row. No word on a specific creative direction for Kross after that second loss, but several members of the WWE creative team and even more members of the roster were said to be baffled by the idea of Kross losing once, let alone a second straight week. Kross would instead go on to defeat Keith Lee via submission. Thoughts, Brian? Where's your head at on this one?
So, watch this match this morning. Oh my goodness. What? So, if they have Kross lose to Jeff Hardy twice in a row, that's already pretty insane. But that's already pretty insane. But I don't know. At least there's some sort of plan and a story. Having him match up against Keith Lee, who's a completely different body type, somebody who he had a feud with in NXT before, and we're already bringing back Keith Lee. I don't know if you guys watched this match, but if you hear the reaction to Keith Lee, it was one of the biggest reactions of the night. Fans love Keith Lee. They want him to be, winning and doing well. And then the bell rings, and we see Karrion Kross, this person who's been a monster heel in NXT. He can't get Keith Lee up for a suplex. He's struggling to lift Keith Lee. Are you kidding me? Who is this guy? What are we getting over? I know in the end we get over that Keith Lee can't escape that submission, but that's all we're doing. It drives me nuts. Drives me nuts, Nick.
Yeah, I don't really know what to. I mean, it's like three stories balled into one, right? One about each man involved here. With Keith Lee, obviously he's got something he wants to get off his chest, right? He said that yesterday. It's gonna be a week or so until we're gonna find out what's been going on. Brian, are you excited?
I mean, I'm more just exhausted and sad.
I think if there's so much around, what's Keith Lee gonna say? Make some money on it. Put it on TakeOver, right? Just give the man a live mic, unless that's not what they want. Maybe it's about them, and it very well could be. And I don't know if it's people have talked about it is build that Vince has an issue with. I've also heard that Keith sometimes, he views himself in a different light than maybe other people do, which is very common in the pro wrestling business. So maybe just a clash of where he sees himself versus where others see himself. It could be many, many things. I guess we'll hear from the horse's mouth himself here, right? With Kross, there was that report initially where after the Hardy loss, there were a lot of people think that Vince is trying to send a message with what happened by Jeff Hardy beating Killer Kross. What that message is, because you go to NXT, man, this Samoa Joe match with Kross is Joe coming out of retirement. It feels like a huge deal down in NXT.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoy that on the show. I really enjoyed NXT. I had a great time, but it's hard to be invested when I know that this dude can't pick up Keith Lee for a suplex. You kidding me?
Here's the real outside the box thought as I look at this, and I see a lot of comments here. We'll get to your comments in just a second. I'm going to throw up on the screen. But the other man in this equation is Jeff Hardy, right? And I wonder, are they what? Maybe it's time for Jeff to get one more run. We're gonna heat him up. What? What is the point? What is the logic behind Jeff picking up momentum right now over somebody like Karrion Kross? It's just another thought that I've had on my mind. So
real head scratcher. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
We have New Day rocks. We have a great show because Nick rocks. Nick rocks. Thank you. Brian also rocks. AJ Marshall, you expect Samoa Joe to beat Karrion Kross in NXT TakeOver 36 for the NXT Championship? That likely to happen. What do you think? I think so. Right?
Yeah. Seems like a foregone conclusion at this point.
I mean, maybe the NXT title is actually an X on his chest that Vince is zeroed in on. If we get that belt off of him, maybe Vince will book it better on the main roster. I see Samoa Joe taking this title, and I mean, you got Cole, O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, Ridge Holland now back in the mix after last night. There's a lot of business that Samoa Joe could do in NXT right now.
Yeah. And with Adam Cole picking up the victory last night, looks like he's looking very strong. Yeah. Maybe we'll see Adam Cole, Samoa Joe down the line. That's already been kind of hinted at with some face-offs between those two.
Yeah, it absolutely has. We also have Alonzo Smith here saying Karrion Kross should destroy Jeff Hardy in about 5 minutes. What Kross did, Keith Lee, is what he should have done to Hardy. And I really thought that's what I was seeing. I was really surprised to read that. No, Jeff was supposed to win again. That's very surprising to me. I thought that they booked Kross the way they had envisioned for a week 2 with Jeff Hardy,
And there were reports from the recent NXT tapings saying that they had to reshoot things because fans were chanting Jeff Hardy during Kross's segments. Oh my goodness. What a mess.
Yeah, and it was weird too because if Jeff suddenly out because of the COVID-19 thing on Friday, right? Why Keith Lee, right? Like, it really shows you how little they have in mind for this guy, where it's like, oh, the plan we had to, I guess, have Kross lose again fell through. Who's somebody available that maybe we could do something with because we have no plan for them? Oh, Keith Lee. That's the guy that we'll use to heat up Kross, I guess, so Kross can stay strong going into his rematch with Jeff Hardy when Jeff comes back from COVID-19 quarantine. I don't know. We have Samantha QT. This makes no sense, but when does WWE writing make sense lately? Roman Reigns, right? There's some good stuff down in NXT right now that makes a lot of sense. They're obviously very capable, right?
Yeah. They've done well before. It's possible. They could start tomorrow if they really wanted to.
We have Jesse Collins here. Jeff Hardy's last match before beating Kross was losing to Veer on main event. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
And Daniel Pricer, I see you saying everyone's forgetting that Hardy had to cheat to win. Kross didn't lose cleanly. I get that, right? But it's not like a dastardly heel cheated. A smart babyface outwitted him, right? How that story gets told in WWE land. And sure, if they come back the next week and Kross destroys this man, gets his heat back, fine. But like what we're hearing right now, Daniel Price, is that that's not what the plan was. That's why it's like, hey, let's take the logic. We'll float that birdie style out the window, and we're left with what we've got right now. And I don't know. I don't see where they're going to create value or meaning in this moment with this group of people.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. I'm lost.
Well, somebody it looks like we're going to have back in the mix here soon, Randy Orton. He's advertised to return to WWE action this coming weekend. He's advertised for Saturday's non-televised WWE Super Show live event at the Fearsome Forum in Milwaukee, and Sunday's Super Show Live at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. He's also scheduled for a 6-man tag match here in Chicago on Raw. I saw it because they're coming to Raw. Raw's coming to Chicago here this Monday. I'll be there. They have him and Riddle and McIntyre teaming up to take on Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. That'll likely be the dark match. It should be noted that Orton was also advertised locally on the WWE website events calendar to appear at last night's Raw in Kansas City, but he was not there. So a little bit of false advertising out there for Randy Orton, but it does look like multiple listings here coming up. He should be back hopefully here at the latest by Monday, I think.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Randy Orton on TV. Anytime Randy Orton's on TV, it's a good time. That guy knows what he's doing. He's an awesome, awesome presence. And I love him with Riddle right now. It's fun.
Yeah, Riddle's really getting a reaction right now, isn't he?
Yeah, Riddle's really getting over, and it's clear that the other guys like him. John Cena keeps doing segments with him, and it looks like Riddle's the guy.
Back to our conversation here. Danny Cochran saying the writing isn't the problem. It's Vince. Well, Vince writes it, so I think they're kind of one and the same, right?
Yes.
As we get ready for them to come back to Chicago here, Arthur Steele saying CM Punk chants are going to dominate Raw in Chi-Town. I hadn't even really thought about it, Arthur, but with all the CM Punk noise being made at the moment, I wouldn't, especially if they put out a Raw that is not of quality.
Yeah. Do you think the CM Punk chants are going to come out? They died down a lot over the past year or two. I mean, obviously with no fans, they died, but before that, they were dying out. So, but with Punk coming back, or all these rumors about him coming back, yeah, we're going to hear some chants.
Yeah, man, wow. I didn't even think about it. It'll be very interesting to be inside of that space. I'll be going with EJ Cameron, our Tuesday co-host here.
Oh.
So EJ and I will be there in the crowd, in the masses, and we'll let you all know what it's like firsthand. Did you notice Jackson Riker wasn't on Raw this week?
I did not notice, and now that you mention it, how fun is that?
I don't think he'll be in Chicago on Monday night. And this was the thing, is we were getting ready for fans to come back and all that. Everybody was like, "Oh, who do you think the WWE universe might react to differently than how WWE's been booking them?" And I'm like, how could it be anyone other than Jackson Riker, right? Like they had him come out in Hogan colors, to fight Elias in that Symphony of Destruction match. did everything they could to make this guy look like, I don't know, a big fun as Jackson Riker can get. You know, pit the tail with the donkey, punch your neighbor in the face, whatever. I don't know. What does Jackson Riker do? So he's done. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, moving on. Let's talk about the first ever Queen of the Ring tournament. Now, we were the first to exclusively report not long ago that WWE was going to be doing this. The Mat Men podcast now saying, and there's another update we'll get to here in just a second, but this is the initial update. They're saying the tournament is scheduled to air over Raw and SmackDown in October. It's set to begin October 8th on SmackDown and the 11th on Raw. These dates mean the tournament would be right after the draft, which is reportedly scheduled for either the October 1st SmackDown or October 4th Raw. It's likely that the draft will take place on the 1st or the 4th if the tournament is beginning on the 8th. And the new report here from our friend Andy Zarian of the Mat Men podcast this morning is that the finals of the Queen of the Ring tournament could be held in Saudi Arabia. How do you feel about that, Brian?
Man, it feels like a real punch to the gut. You know, the thing that I was so excited about this fall was WWE's women's division, because I feel like that is WWE's biggest opportunity to right the ship. You know, you have Charlotte coming up here. You have Becky coming back. Sasha Banks is hanging out there after she's done taping for Mandalorian. There's so many things that are out there that can electrify WWE programming with their women's division. And then we find out that the finals of the tournament are going to Saudi Arabia.
Dude. Well, I think it's a couple things, right? It's obviously there's a very different way women are treated in Saudi Arabia than over here in the West, right? And it's for the best. And there's also the sports washing thing that comes along when you do these events and you go over and you say, look how progressive they are. We're holding the Queen of the Ring finals here in Saudi Arabia, and it makes it easier for them to do things to women because they have that kind of international veil or sheet they've thrown over the situation by going out there and doing this. And we had Arya Daivari yesterday, right? He went out there. They went out there. They sent him and his brother Sean to wave the Iranian flag and roast all the Saudis, and they got death threats for it, right? And when I asked him if that was Vince's idea, he said he thought it was the Crown Prince's. From what he was told, it was a directive from the Crown Prince, right? And so when you have a person like MBS, who really it's looking more and more had like some cloak here in the last 4 years for political reasons in the United States. Now, right, we're taking this guy, trying to take this guy. Well, political discussion for another day, right? But you're trying to keep this guy in line here. But instead, you have this American billionaire over there working directly with him to help push his narrative forward through your Western pro wrestling project. That is very weird and feels very gross to me, Brian.
Yeah, it's. I can't wait for the dark side of the ring on all the Saudi stuff. There is so many shady things going on, and there is no doubt that MBS was involved in the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. We are dealing with somebody who has ordered the killing of journalists, and WWE is still involved with this guy. This is disgusting, and it really soils the whole fun of the Queen of the Ring tournament.
We have here Daniel Bryan. If it's in Saudi Arabia, Charlotte's going to definitely win it. I think Charlotte's probably a favorite anyway because she's the queen. Yeah. Samantha saying I could see Naomi winning, being the queen of the table. Sure. I really want to see her with the bloodline over with Reigns and her husband over on SmackDown. Why not? We have Antonio Garcia here. I don't know as much as they had to beg to have any women's match in Saudi. But again, now it's like, now that they've done it, and you're going to use this event to say, look how progressive we are. We're having the finals of the Queen of the Ring. That is a fantasy. It is a literal playing out to distract from what are other things going on in the country. And that's the deeper rooted issue here, right? We have that's an AJ question. We have several people pointing out your phone, like old school phone. Somebody should pick up the phone. We have Jesse Collins here. WWE uses their fan base as a market for Saudi propaganda. They sell their fan base to MBS to watch a pro-Saudi show. It is an audience of one. It really is. Like, he's found his Saudi Vince. It's MBS. That's weird. I don't know how I feel about saying that out loud, right? All right, moving on here. We talked a little bit about some of the NXT stuff from last night. Let's touch on some. Let's touch real quickly, just a little bit deeper on it, because we did gloss over the fact, I believe, that Joe is officially returning to action. He hasn't been seen on TV since like February of 2020 in a wrestling capacity. William Regal accepted his resignation, reinstated him as an active competitor. He made Joe versus Kross for the title for TakeOver 36 going down on August 22nd, which is the Sunday after SummerSlam. So big deal here. Joe is back. Anything you else want to say before we move on to more stuff?
I mean, I was excited about it, but now it keep making Kross look like a chump. It's just like, it's now everything just seems like a foregone conclusion, fait accompli. So, like, how can we get hot for this match? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting too. Like, they've been very coy about how they've tried to use Kross, ever since the Hardy thing. I mean, I really hope Joe takes this title, goes on to be a badass NXT champion, and Kross can get on with whatever they want him doing on the main roster. Maybe Vince is literally, putting his sights on him because he represents NXT at the moment. Maybe he's a pawn in this, right? If they get that belt off him, maybe it'll be better for him on the main roster.
Anything can be better than this right now. It's got to be.
Well, I was excited to see Ridge Holland back last night. He was alongside Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan. They beat up Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. He's been out of action since a freak accident that went down October 7th, 2020 at an NXT episode. Dude is beast, former rugby player. Love his attitude. I think that he's going to be a real big addition to NXT. I really am happy to just see him back.
I forgot how big he is. That guy looks like a world champ.
Yeah, and I love the kind. I know there's a lot of hay that's made these days about too many stables and wrestling and stuff, but the way NXT kind of balances it right now, I feel like you got them, you got Hit Row Records, you've got Imperium, you've got Legado del Fantasma. I mean, the way that these entities are kind of bouncing against each other, creating singles matches, tag matches, 6-man matches. I actually kind of like the use of stables at the moment down in NXT.
Oh, I'm a big fan. Look, people keep complaining. They say, oh, there's too much wrestling. I can't keep up. You know how I can keep up is I can keep up with these larger groups. And that keeps my attention. It's a lot easier to see, oh, well, and then I can, yes, it would be nice if I knew everyone's name all the time and knew, but these factions at least help us, understand who these people are quicker. And with Ridge Holland returning, man, look out. This guy looks like a major player. I feel like he'll be going for the North American Championship really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alonzo Smith here letting us know NXT currently has 6 stables, right? There you go. A little fact.
That's there. A lot.
Dino Garofalo, there's some hope for a big man revival in NXT. Samoa Joe, Odyssey Jones, Josh Briggs, Duke Hudson, Ridge Holland, Top Dollar. Yeah, there are some big men down there. And I thought it was a real statement that Adam Cole beat Bronson Reed last night, with the influx of big men that are coming in to the company at the moment, or NXT.
Yeah, I really thought that match could have gone either way. I was not sure who was going to win, but loved the match. Thought it was great. Love Bronson Reed and everything that he does. But I think it shows that Adam Cole and Samoa Joe are on a collision course.
If anybody can go and find how many stables are in AEW right now so we can compare, that would wow, Rob Humphrey saying I've got AEW currently has 152 stables. Is that a fact? I think it might be.
They definitely beat WCW in the late 90s. WCW had so many factions.
All right, we're going to wrap up the news block here before we get to what I'm sure is going to be a very picked up, highly buzzy Marty Elias conversation. 2 Braun Strowman notes. All right, the first is that he went to Twitter yesterday. He tweeted choices, which could have been about WWE versus AEW, or how much guac he wants on his Chipotle burrito. I'm not really sure, but that got a lot of attention yesterday, Brian.
Oh, Braun Strowman. Oh, Braun Strowman. It was the Instagram post that caught my attention. What the heck was he doing? What is he thinking? I don't know who that thing is for. And then also, how are we supposed to interpret this? All of the ways that I've tried to interpret his post come up like, oh my God, you're an idiot.
So the Instagram post that Brian is talking about is he posted a video clip of him hitting an elbow drop on McIntyre during their triple threat match for the championship at WrestleMania Backlash. Lashley won that match to retain. But in his caption, Strowman wondered if McIntyre pooped at the sight of a 330-pound monster coming down with an elbow drop. He apologized, too, for working a little stiff. Strowman had suffered broken ribs during this spot, which was incidentally from his last WWE match before his release. So why do you find this to be so dumb? What grabbed your ire here, Brian?
I mean, I'm going to be a little nitpicky. It was a senton. I don't know why they said elbow drop. It was more like a senton. But sorry. But what drove me nuts is like, what are we supposed to think of Drew McIntyre? Did he poop? Is this supposed to be a joke between him and Drew? Is this, like, oh man, it said hashtag I work stiff. And it's like, is that supposed to make people excited to see you work and actually hurt people for no reason? Is it supposed to make wrestlers think that it's fun? Who is this for? I don't get it, man.
And is this a tell about why he was released, right? Like, is he pointing out that he worked stiff and possibly hurt or frightened what is arguably one of WWE's franchise players right now? They've invested a lot into Drew McIntyre. They had started investing a lot more Drew than Braun, that's for sure at that moment. So did Drew going to management and saying, this guy, is a reckless, right? He works stiff. I don't want to work with him anymore. They realized, hey, if top money making people don't want to work with you and we already agreed to pay you more, that's where both sides collide. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm reading too much into the tea leaves or the lines here with Braun's post.
I don't know, man. I just am trying to understand him and I want to like him, but oh goodness.
All right. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for talking the news of the day up top with me. I want to thank Marty Elias for the time. We'll have part 2 with Marty, I believe, next week. So come back for that. And again, if you're in video form right now, half an hour away, 1 p.m. Eastern, head over to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. You can watch the premiere part 1 of my conversation with Marty over there today. We're going to jump over to the poll question at Wink Daily, WINC Daily. That is the account to follow. If you want to vote in our daily polls, you want to find out when new shows are out, all that great stuff. Today's poll question: how do you feel about Matt Cardona as GCW World Champion? And the reason I asked that is because Matt was on Busted Open Radio. He said, I was getting tweets like people wanted me to die and they wanted Nick to kill Chelsea. These are human beings really typing this on their phones or their computer. Like, what the hell is wrong with these people? So I asked you, do you love it, Matt Cardona as champion? Are you okay with it? Do you not like it? Or the third option, trash, garbage, MDK, right? So we have about 150 votes here. 56.8% of people say they love it. 22% say they're okay with it. 7.6% say they do not like it. And 13.6% say trash, garbage, MDK. How do you feel about Matt Cardona as the champion at the moment?
I absolutely love it.
Yeah?
I think this is fantastic. I love that we're seeing a new side of Matt Cardona, and it's going to help, build him to be an even bigger star. It's shining a light on GCW. And, it was a very dangerous thing with people throwing things in the ring, but we got to look at the build to this match. We got to look at how the announcers treated this match. Everything that was going on in the build to this match was designed to, ignite the audience's ire. And boy, they set them on fire. They went wild. Even when they announced Matt winning the championship, the ring announcer did it like very unenthusiastically, like he was upset.
Yeah.
Everything just was building to this. And, yes, it was a dangerous thing, but I don't know. I feel like they got what they wanted.
Well, but that's the thing is like, I take Matt Cardona as the champion right now. I love it as well. I think it's great. I think it's great for Matt. I think that he's playing in a different pool right now. I definitely think it's going to be something that's remembered for some time. He's making something out of nothing here, right? With what's going on at GCW, and it's really meaningful. I do think that the visual element that came out of that riot at the end there, as cool as it is maybe for the fan, it is terrifying for the people inside of that to be in a situation where that stuff is getting thrown at them, especially things like pizza cutters and broken glass and things of that nature. I do feel that it would maybe be responsible for GCW management to come out and say something about, what is not okay to do, right? We don't want you throwing no pizza, no weaponry can be thrown at the performers or anything like that, because it does feel kind of like it is maybe escalating to a point where something really bad could happen, right? I watched a great documentary over the weekend on HBO Max about Woodstock 99. I don't know if you
excellent film.
Did you watch it? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
Dude, okay.
Oh my gosh.
So,
and that also, the way they booked that, the way they booked Woodstock, they got what they wanted out of that. You know?
But like, I think you see where I'm going here with this, right? Like, historically looking back, where you take a bunch of largely young, angry white men and you put them in a position where you say the chains are off, you can be the true, whatever purest, angriest form of yourself. That's a safe space to do that. And go watch the Woodstock 99 documentary. A lot of crazy shit happened, right? Like lives lost and ruined, right? I mean, it was a really bad space. And I'm not saying that they're 100% apples to apples, but I think that we can maybe follow the path here and see that something could really badly happen. And as much as I don't want to be the guy who's, dad walking into the basement of, everybody smoking weed or whatever, but like, I do feel like there should be some guardrails put in place right now, because while it is a great visual for TV and stuff, I don't really know that the safety of the performers has really been talked about enough kind of in that space. So.
Oh, yeah. It looks completely dangerous. And, if you think people were frustrated in 99, how do they feel in 2021? There is a lot of pent-up frustration in society right now. And if you give them an opportunity to express it, they certainly will. Yeah. People have forgotten how to act. We've been inside for 15 months, so if you poke that fire, it's going to blaze.
Yeah. Just something to think about, right? Like Cardona in this role, some of the things that happen on the way to him being in this position, maybe just take a moment here, take a breath, and, think about what can maybe be done a little bit differently. So we have Dave Whitehouse 20 here saying he is showing off the title and getting the company name out there every chance he gets. How can't that be a good thing? Man, I love Disneyland photos. He's been
how great is that in front of the Millennium Falcon?
Just the anti-Nick Gage, right? Like everything Nick Gage would never do. R. Damon 1982, the best thing for the company is to have a name as champion. It's, I suppose, if it's the right name, right? We have CM Foster 23. I think the whole promotion is an embarrassment to the wrestling industry. I don't agree with that. Obviously, I agree that there are, things that can be worked on, but I don't think that GCW, a successful nationally, internationally touring brand with a very loyal fan base, literally worldwide, is an embarrassment to the industry, right? There are other I can point to that would be. Right?
Yeah, I think they are a feather in the cap, and they are pushing the boundaries of where the industry can go. They're trying things. Is it always super successful? No, but we need GCW. GCW is important to the wrestling business.
Yeah. We have Jesse Collins here saying it could be harder to book venues if people are trashing the place and someone gets hit with a glass bottle. Yeah, I mean, I did the playground used to pretty much let me do whatever I wanted here in Chicago with ladders and throwing beer, but I think throwing glass, but we never went that. We never got to the point where we were throwing glass bottles at us or into the audience. It just didn't happen, Brian. Yeah.
No, we're nice people in Chicago.
Largely. We also have here Dina Garofalo. Matt Cardona should be creating a character called Beyond the Mat, where he participates in wrestling matches that nobody would normally think he would wrestle in. So Beyond the Mat, we know. I think that he's maybe already gone beyond the mat. Dina Garofalo. I think we're there for that.
Oh my gosh! I just had an idea. Braun Strowman in GCW.
I have a pretty strong feeling that's not going to happen. I just don't see it, knowing what I know about the political landscape of GCW. And lastly, your Diamond Dave show. It's not for everyone, right? And that's the thing. It's some things you like, some things you don't. That's it at the end of the day for pro wrestling. All right, hey, we're gonna be back tomorrow. I believe tomorrow we're gonna be airing part or all, I'm not really sure, of Raj's interview with the Bollywood Boys. So very excited to bring that to everybody. And then Friday, of course, we'll be here with the WWE Q2 revenue media call with Vince McMahon and Stephanie and Nick Khan and all that. So you'll be able to hear the media call on Friday. A lot of stuff in the tank. Next week will also be huge. Come back tomorrow. I'll be joined by Paul Pratt, a.k.a. Polio Del Mar, who is working on a very big interview as well at the moment. So send love to Paul. And if you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all the socials, and the Wrestling Inc. podcast goes live at night after the big shows, just like this. Same chat room, different faces, different punditing. Brian, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the show today?
Oh, man. Make sure you're following me on Twitter to keep up with my live shows. Next week, on Tuesday night, I'll be at Flights Sports Bar doing stand-up at 8 p.m. in Mar Vista, California. Come on out if you're on the west side.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, go support Brian. A new episode of Pro Wrestling for Life goes out for free tomorrow morning with me and Sean Waltman. If you want it early, you can go give $5 to the Patreon right now. We have Huez, the former Arturo Huez, and Gregory Iron on, who, again, he was part of that. He helped incite, that chaos. What was it like for him to be inside of that? And also just a really kind of Sean really enjoys the chat with Greg. Greg has had he has had a lot of hurdles thrown at him in his life between the cerebral palsy, some issues in his childhood, and just life in general. And there's a bonding there that organically happens in Sean's conversation with Gregory Iron. So I really think you will enjoy it. And for everything else, I'm at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked,